Okay, that should be all set up properly. I did just turn the music off this time. I didn't last time. I turned it off on accident, and I turned it back on. And then it, like, made me all quiet in the VOD, which I had to watch back. I don't know. It was weird and odd, and I just decided that it is ultimately not really my problem, you know? I don't need background music to my words. Do I? Someone can let me know if I do. Cause I'll figure out a way to get that working. I'm also finagling things. Sorry, I like messed with it and then I realized I didn't like it like now. Cause I'm a fool. That's okay. I do not know if my like little projector AO3 thing is readable. It's not for me. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. And it's for decoration, mostly. So, it's okay if you can't really see it. Baby might also be joining us for this. She's come over to say hi. We're gonna try and lure her into my lap so she stops chewing on my cords. I will say right now, I'll probably have to stop sometimes to yell at her for chewing on my cords. I'll probably have to stop semi-frequently to yell at her for chewing on my cords. But this time we're actually gonna do it. We're actually gonna read fanfiction. I found a one-shot that's only like 2,000 words. It's called The Mystery Begins. It's Destiel. It's Stanford era. It's not time travel. I like it a lot. I don't want to go into more detail. I don't think there's any major trigger warnings, especially, so it's technically a series. I'm just gonna read the first part of the series. There are a bunch of one-shots, but we should be good. I took a drink so that I wouldn't be dying. So, The Mystery Begins by the Batman Diaries. That's all lowercase, no spaces. Summary, in which Dean has a daughter and Sam is freaking out. Also, Gabriel appears. Hi, sweet pea. They also have their Tumblr linked there. I do have links to this up on... I have links on Tumblr posted. This is a collection that I'll figure out a way to post so that you have access to it. If anyone sees this and you need the link, message me on any of my linked things and I'll get it to you. So, just I got you if you need. Alright, 2,000 words. Sam looked at his brother. He had gone down to see the case his brother had brought and was confronted with a child. A little girl sat in the front seat fiddling with a cassette tape. She even has a mini leather jacket, he thought hysterically. Claire, Dean yelled, and she almost dropped the tape. What have I told you about messing with those tapes? To not to, Claire said sullenly. You were taking too long. Sam looks between them, Hunt forgotten. Who is this kid? Dean, why is there a kid in your car? She looked at him. He kidnapped me. I have wanted posters with my face on it. Sam's eyes widened at Dean's laugh. Those are missing posters. Nobody wants you, that's why you're with me. Sam looked between the two of them, back and forth. They had done a lot of things as hunters, but kidnapping a child? That's where he draws the line. Unclench Sam, she's mine. Dad, I think we broke him. She calls you Dad? Dean gives Sam a look, one Claire mirrors. What else is she supposed to call me? By my government name? Claire rolled her eyes. Duh. Sam watched them. Dean brings him around to the back. He opens the trunk in the false bottom and rustles around for the papers. Aha! Here we go. Sam looks at him. Dean, are we not going to talk about the literal child in your car? Not when you phrase it like that, Dean said. Now, Dad was checking out this 2-lane highway in Jericho. About a month ago, this dude vanished, but his car was still there. Dean continues on like he didn't hear him. Another one in April, and then one last year, one in 03, 98, 92. All over 2 decades. All men over the same stretch of road. Sam sees the girl get out. Are you telling him about the highway? Sam fixes Dean a glare. She knows about hunting? Dean shrugs like this isn't a big deal. Considering her mom was killed by a demon, yeah. Doesn't mean you need to bring her on hunts, Sam said, scowling. She needs stability, and a hunter's life is not stable. She does have stability, Dean said, scowling. To be honest, Sam, you're the last person who should be judging me, considering you and I haven't talked in 4 years. That stops him. It hasn't been 4 years. We haven't talked since you left for school, Sam. I called, but you didn't pick up. Dean went quiet for a moment, even when I really needed you to. You said that you were too busy having fun in school without us, Claire said, scuffing a boot. Grandpa Bobby said you would call eventually. Sam sidestepped the whole Grandpa Bobby issue and focused on what else she said. It made Sam feel 100 times worse. He never called, and if Dean hadn't shown up here, he might have never even met Claire, much less knew she existed. I'm sorry. He didn't know who he was apologizing to. It didn't matter. It's fine, Dean said. Now are we going to hit the road or what? You want anything? Dean asked Sam as they pulled up to the gas station. Hector is buying. He held up the fake credit card in his fingers. Are you sure you should be modeling this behavior for Claire? Sam said to him, raising his eyebrows at the idea. Children are impressionable, you know. Dean shrugged. Dad did, and we grew up fine. Sam scoffed. I don't think fine is the word to describe our childhood, Dean. Yeah, well, that's life, Dean said, getting out of the car. Claire, come on. I'll let you pick out some candy. She jumped out of the car and smiled. Gotta stock back up for when Uncle Gabe comes over again, she said, smiling mischievously. Dean hoped Sam didn't hear that last part. The last thing he needed was Sam asking even more questions about Claire and her history. Yeah, Dean laughed. Let's hope it's not any time soon. He went to the aisle next to get drinks. Whoa, Dino, and here I thought we were best friends, came a voice from the next aisle. Guess I was wrong. Speak of the devil, and so he shall appear, Dean remarked. Well, that's hurtful, Gabriel said, walking around to meet them. I only came here because I heard you two gossiping about me. It's not gossip if it's true, Dean muttered, grabbing some sodas and a water for Claire. Alright, I didn't come because you were talking about me, Gabriel said with his hands up. I came to deliver a message per Cass's request. What about? Said his lead panned out and he won't be back tomorrow. Dean nodded. Got it. Don't pout, it's not attractive. I'm not pouting, a moment of silence before. You kind of are, though. Claire, Dean said, whipping around to face her. She shrugged. What? It's true. He points to where Sam was waiting by the pumps. Get in the car. She rolled her eyes. Touchy. He gets so grumpy when he's gone. They get back in the car and he slips in back in black into the cassette player. Sam shakes his head and Dean scowls. What? Dude, you have got to update your cassette tape collection. Dean gave him an unimpressed look. What's wrong with them? Claire never complains when we're driving. Claire's a kid. You remember having opinions on music at that page? Yeah, Dean said slowly, like Sam was an idiot. I liked it. Of course you did. Sam rolled his eyes. To answer your question, they're cassette tapes. Ever heard of aux cords? And Do Shut My Baby? Dean looked disgusted at the mere idea. No thanks. I'm just saying, anything from this century. I'm begging you. I don't know if you remember the golden rule, Sammy. Claire, want to enlighten him? Driver picks the music, shotgun shuts his cackle, Claire said, smirking. Sam says nothing, but sighs as the music climbs in volume. You think this is where she took the swan dive? Dean asked Sam as they stood on the bridge. Claire was standing behind the car looking at the river below. That's what the article said. Dean, he's not here. I know, but what can we do? He's off chasing a story and we're chasing him. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's still our dad. Sam gave him a confused look. What do you mean you haven't seen him? Weren't you guys hunting together? Now Dean outright laughs. You're hilarious, Sam. At Sam's look of annoyance, he stops. Oh, you're serious. Hate to break it to you, Sam, but once you left, he ditched me pretty quickly after. I'm not exactly the child he was sticking around for. Dean can see the steam pouring out of Sam's head, trying to put the pieces all together. He left you? Yeah, about a day or so after you did. Wasn't happy you left and saw no reason to stick around, so, Dean said, shrugging. A few months after that, I found Claire, so it wasn't all bad, Dean sighed. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We gotta follow his trail. Sam shook his head. I have to be back by Monday. Dean gave him a considering look. You really think you're going to have an apple pie life, marry a girl, the whole 9 yards? Sam scowled. I do. Does she know the truth? Because if you're serious about this, that's something you need to tell her. It only hurts in the long run, trust me. It's fine if you're not going to hunt, but at least tell her how to protect herself. And what would you know about telling the truth? Sam snaps at him. Your entire life is lies and half-truths. Dean gave him a look. More than you know, Sam. Now come on. If you want to get back by Monday, we need to finish this up. I'm making lemonade really quick, because I need to drink something. But the other thing I made is really gross. They're so snippy with each other in the beginning. I always forget that. Don't eat pasta. That's Mama's. Mama in this scenario is me. I'm speaking to my cat. When talking to my cat, if you ever hear me say that something's Mama's, that's me. I'm telling my cat, and she's not listening. She does not believe that she needs to obey the rules that were set specifically for her. Is one of her kind of life beliefs. But it's okay, because we're gonna put her in my lap and we're gonna settle. Of course they get noticed by the police. He sits in the interrogation room and lets out a deep sigh. It's just his luck, honestly. The man slaps down some papers. Oh boy, are you in a lot of trouble. Not only do you have 10 missing persons taped to your wall, you currently have a missing persons traveling with you. A child. Care to explain? The sheriff asked him. Yeah, she's my daughter, Dean said. Before her mom was killed, she contacted the father because she just couldn't bear being a single mother anymore and wanted the father involved. That's interesting, the sheriff says, pulling out papers of a very familiar man, because we did a bit of digging, and the father is someone named James Novak, who died back before Claire was born. That does not look like you. It's a glossy photo of what he knew to be Cass, more particularly Cass's vessel. Jimmy had long departed as he had suffered a major illness at the time and had passed on after Cass had taken him as a vessel. Yeah, Dean agreed. We were really good friends. Dean smiled as the sheriff put the picture back down on the table. The sheriff gave him a look. That's so? Dean gave him a look that asked, Are you stupid? Obviously, yeah. So then, want to explain why you've got her caught up in all this? He let out the deepest sigh. I think my thing is crashing. Maybe? I'm gonna hope it's not and that I don't have to redo all this, because I really can't. Gabe, I could really use your help right now. Ghost destroyed, and the car no worse for where they headed back on the road. Dean looked at Claire and smiled at her in the rearview mirror. She nodded and Dean pulled into a diner. It was the middle of the day, so it wasn't too crowded. Sam gave him a judgy look and said, "You're taking her to a diner?" Dean was getting really tired of Sam's judgments of him and Claire. He got that Sam didn't understand, but he could at least keep his comments to himself. He looked around the desolate area. Where else would I go? She's a growing girl. You should be giving her fruits and vegetables, not this junk. And where am I going to find this? I don't even have a kitchen. And whose fault is that? You know what, Sam? If you hate the food so much, how about you stay here in the car while we go eat? Dean slams the door and Claire follows him inside. She sits down on the vinyl booth and looks up at the menu. Is he always like that? Dean drags his hand down his face. Drags a tired hand down his face. Yeah, good thing we're almost back. He can get on my nerves sometimes. She laughed. She laughs. Me too. She looks down for a moment and a stormy expression took over her face. Can I say something? You have to promise not to be mad. Dean raised an eyebrow. She looked down at her menu. I don't like him. He laughs loudly and Claire looks at him. He's annoying, I know, but he's a good kid. You'll like him eventually. Don't worry, Claire. They talk a bit before Sam slides into the seat next to him. I'm sorry. Yeah? Dean said, picking up his coffee. Are you? Dean, don't be difficult about this, Sam sighs. We only have a few hours left until we're back. I'm never difficult, Dean muttered. They focus back on the food, the quiet surrounding them. A few hours later, they're back in Palo Alto, and Dean now has to deal with a traumatized girlfriend of Sam. At least she's cool, Dean thinks. She shakes as they watch the building burn down. Her arms are wrapped around her chest, clutching at her shoulders. Are you okay? Claire asks her softly. No, she says, but I will be. I can't believe demons tried to kill me. It's so quiet you can hear a pin drop. Dean takes one look at Sam's absolutely flabbergasted expression and bursts out laughing. Of course she's a hunter. Trust Sam to find the one hunter girl in the sea of normal girls. It's all he can do but laugh some more. That's the end of that. I do really like Hunter Jessica as a concept. Very fun to me. Very funny to think that he managed to find the one girl. I'm on a roll. I'm also invested. We're only 20 minutes in. So I'm gonna read the next one. Just because it's fun. I really like this series. I forgot that I liked this series because it's on like bite-sized chunks. This one is a bit longer. It's 4,881 chapters. Not chapters. It's not 4,000. 4,000 words. We'll round up to 5,000. But I actually don't have a concept of what that means. Or like how much words are. I think this is alright though. So, on to part 2. There is someone new. I see you. You don't have to say anything. Quick rundown. We just finished the first part of this series, which the long and short of it is, it's Stanford era. Dean has a child who's Claire. Sam does not know what's going on. Gabe and Castiel are somewhere. Sam does not know or understand what's happening. That's the important bits. So, on to part 2. I can't believe you're a hunter, Dean. Oh, Jessica's a hunter. We found that out at the very end. Last sentence. Now we're all caught up. I can't believe you're a hunter, Dean said as they sat down at the diner table. Trust Sam to find the one hunter girl at Stanford. Jess laughed. It's a family tradition, what can I say? I didn't expect Sam to be a hunter either. Now that was a shock. I bet. I'm right here, Sam said, like next to you at this table. I'm well aware, Dean said, scowling. It's not that he was unhappy that Sam was traveling with him again, but it did leave a lot to be desired. I just don't care. You need anything else? The waitress said. Dean gave her a charming smile and went to open his mouth when Sam said, just a check. Dean rolled his eyes. You know, I can have fun once in a while. You have a child right there, Dean, Sam says, annoyed. Besides, we need to look for Dad, not some random case. Dean scoffed. You know who whines? Sam? He sees Sam look towards him with an eyebrow raised. Babies. I just think you should set a better example for Claire. That's all, Sam says, rolling his eyes. Oh, sorry, Dean said sarcastically. I must have missed the part where we were co-parenting. My bad. Sam, Jessica says, putting her hand on his arm. Just let Dean do what he wants to. He's the one that's been with her for 4 years. Sam gives her a look, but said fine. So, Dean, find anything interesting in the papers? In the newspaper? I did, actually. Lake Manitowoc Wisconsin, drowning. Read it for yourself. Jess looks at it and nods along with Sam. I'd say this is definitely a case. They had a funeral for her? Sam asks. That's odd. It was probably for closure, Dean says, even if they couldn't find anything with the sweep of the lake. What closure? Sam asks, annoyed. People don't disappear, Dean. Other people just stop looking for them. How many times do you and I have to have this conversation? Dean says, snatching the newspaper back. I cannot keep doing this. Doing what, exactly? Explaining to you that the trail is cold. He doesn't want us to find him. If he did, he wouldn't have shut his phone off and left his journal. Maybe that's even more reason to find him. He never leaves that thing behind. Dean scowls at Sam. I'm going to Wisconsin. If you don't want to find another ride, you're going with me. He stomps out of the diner, Claire following behind him. Sam scoffs. There's a paragraph break. Sam scoffed. Wake me up when we reach the place. Sure thing, Dean muttered, always happy to help. As the miles flew by, he got lost in thought. There was nothing but the endless road to keep him company, and the sky had given way to nighttime. Claire shifted. Sweet pea, you can't have lemonade. I don't know what in it's bad for you, but I guarantee there's something. As the miles flew by, he got lost in thought. There was nothing but the endless road to keep him company, and the sky had given way to nighttime. Claire had shifted from where she was napping and almost kicked him in the lap, since she had her feet there. Watch the feet, Claire, jeez. Dean muttered to himself, even knowing she couldn't hear him. Wisconsin had been nothing but flat farmlands, interspersed with occasional farmhouses and small towns. Passing through Madison and onto Route 151, he found himself thankful he wasn't passing through Illinois, although he knew he couldn't escape the potholes of the Midwest. It still had a few hours to drive, and he was eagerly awaiting getting to the hotel and getting some rest. His cell vibrated in his pocket. He never turned the ringer back on, and was grateful that he had done that, so as not to wake anyone up. Hello? Dean said quietly. Dean, he heard Cass say. It's nice to talk to you again. I'm sorry that it's been so long. Gabriel said you missed me. Gabriel's full of crap, Dean said, rolling his eyes. But he wasn't entirely incorrect. I see. A pause, and then Cass said, Are you and Claire stopping for the night anytime soon? Dean nodded, even though Cass couldn't see him. We should be. Still on Route 151 right now, passing through Madison. And I thought Kansas scenery left something to be desired. I find I enjoy the flatlands of the Midwest. It's very stagnant, Cass says. You're weird, you know that, Dean tells him. That actually counts against it for most people. Cass says, How can I not be when you're constantly telling me so? Wow, Cass, you're finally learning sarcasm. I'm proud of you. Only took you a few years, Dean said, grilling me. Now we need to work on innuendos next. I prefer not to. Sometimes I'm glad I have no frame of reference for what Gabriel says. Dean laughed quietly. I'm sure. At the nudging of his thigh, he looks down to see Claire staring at him. He takes the phone away from his face and asks, What, do you need to stop or something? She rolls her eyes. I want to talk to him. Why? Dean asks her. None of your business, Claire says snarkily. Besides, you'll find out anyways. It's not like I can stop you from listening. Exactly why you should just tell me. Dean laughed. But fine, here you go. If you two are done, Cass says, Yes, Claire, what do you need? Cass and Claire didn't have an amazing relationship, what with the fact of Cass's vessel's identity, but also the fact that Claire never knew her father. It wasn't a bad relationship. He knew Cass cared for Claire, and Claire as well. But it was never that close bond that Dean himself had with her. He supposed that meeting her at such a young age and spending every day with her from then on had definitely helped. As Claire talked to Cass, he thought back to that day. It had truly changed his future, and he felt for the better. He had no idea what his father would say once he found them, but he didn't really care. Claire was his kid in everything but blood, and there would be a rude awakening if John Winchester had an issue with that. As she hung up, she yawned again. Dean smiled softly at her and said, Hey kid, why don't you go back to sleep? We still have a few hours. She nodded. Okay, Dad. He would never admit it, especially since it veered towards chick flick territory, But it warmed something in his chest to hear her call him that. Even after a few years, it never got old. He never figured himself for having kids, despite always wanting a family of his own. He had always thought the life was too dangerous for them. Oftentimes he wondered if he had done the right thing, bringing Claire with him, subjecting her to the hunter's life. But after seeing Amelia and what had happened to her, he knew Claire's normal life was never going to be something that happened. She would forever carry a mark of being a victim of a supernatural attack. At least here he could keep an eye on her. As they made their way to the next highway, he sighed and took in a deep breath before releasing it. He looked to the back where Sam and his fiancée sat and wondered, if not for the first time, if he was making a huge mistake. His sleeping fiancée. Jess is asleep. Don't worry about that. It's okay. Dean sighed. The last case with the Wendigo had startled Claire a bit, so she stayed closer to him than normal. She was waiting in the car. She keeps running off and then coming back over here to try and cause trouble. She waited in a chair while they waited for the sheriff to show up. Dean found it amusing that Claire didn't exactly care for Sam. He knew she would like him eventually, but for now her avoidance of him made him laugh. Sorry about the wait. It's been busy over here, the sheriff said. The whole town is in mourning for Sophie. Losing a child is never easy. I can't imagine what the Carltons are going through, Dean said. That's why we're here. For an accidental drowning, the sheriff says, raising his eyebrow in disbelief. I can't imagine why the feds would care. Claire says nothing, but sits in the chair looking at the sheriff. And I'm not sure this is a suitable conversation for a child to hear. Dean gives a thin smile. I'm aware. Babysitter canceled at the last minute, so I had no choice but to bring her. Man's face softened. Single parent, huh? My daughter had the same unfortunate thing happen to her, too. Can't be easy, can it? No, Dean shakes his head, not entirely rebuting the claim. It isn't, but it's worth it. I can't imagine my life without her. The sheriff nods. Kids really do change everything. Now back to the lake. There's nothing in there. Unless an Loch Ness monster is hiding underneath the ground, we didn't find anything. Nothing at all. Sam asked. No, the sheriff said. We dragged the entire lake just to be sure. Even did a sonar sweep. Dean, but we found nothing. Dean shook his head. That's very odd. That's what, the third missing person this year? Sheriff Jake sighed and rubbed his hand down his face. These are my people, and they keep going missing. I don't know what to do. Besides, it's not like it's going to be a problem much longer. Dean threw out a guess. What with the lake, right? It's falling apart and we can't fix it, he said. It'll be drained soon anyways. A knock sounded, and the door opened to reveal a young woman and her son. Sorry, am I interrupting? No, we're done here, Dean says. Hi, I'm Dean, and this is my daughter, Claire. Claire waves. Sam waves from the back. I'm Sam. She smiles. Nice to meet you. They're from Wildlife Services. About the lake, the sheriff says. I see, she says. Well, that's about it, Sheriff Jake says. You boys need anything else? Yeah, Dean said. Mind pointing us to a motel? They're in the room by themselves, and Dean decides to call Cass. Hey, Cass, mind coming down to the motel? Lakefront Motel, Manitowoc, Wisconsin, room 5. A moment later, Cass appears along with Gabriel. Well, I didn't say bring the whole circus with you. You're hilarious, Dean, Gabriel says. I'm just here to say hi to my niece. I'm not your niece, Gabriel says, rolling her eyes. Gabriel brings his hand to his chest in fake hurt. Then I guess I'll have to return this gift I got for you. What a shame. It's a nice knife. Claire makes grabby hands. Okay, you're the best uncle ever. Now give me my gift. Gabriel rolls his eyes and hands her the box. She eagerly tears it open to reveal a knife with a jagged edge and symbols up and down it. What's the symbols for? It means you can kill demons with it. I think it was called a Kurdish knife, Gabriel says. Think of it as your new signature weapon. Dean sighs. Why is your brother giving my kid a weapon as a gift? Don't act like you're not mad you didn't think of it first, Cass says. Besides, when she was old enough, weren't you going to teach her to shoot? Ouch, that stings, Dean says. You're really working your sarcasm game, aren't you? How else can I keep up with you? Cass says, with a smile on his lips. Gross. Go flirt somewhere else, Gabriel says. Think of the child. Speaking of the child, how about you take her out for ice cream? Dean says, I need to talk to Cass about something, about your mission. Disgust crosses Gabriel's face. Fine, I'll call you when we're coming back. Dean gives him an impish grin. Sounds good. As they disappear, Cass turns to him. What was the case you wanted to discuss? Is this about the lake case you're currently on? Cass, Dean says, puts a hand on his shoulders. I lied. There is no case. Then why? We're alone, Dean says, cutting Cass off. I don't know about you, but I want to spend less time talking and more time doing something else. We only have so much time before Gabriel pops back. And then we fade. Oh. Understanding spreads across Cass's face, and Dean smirks. Understand me? Cass said nothing, but leaned forward to kiss him. And then it fades to back for me. I thought I was going to have to do it myself and skim over it. It's been a while since I read these fics. Sam didn't understand why Dean was so annoyed with him recently. It wasn't him who showed up. It was some random kid he had been taking care of for years. He turned to Jess, who had been laying down on the bed. Don't you think it's odd? Sam asked, him bringing a kid with him. I know he's hiding stuff. I just don't know what. Jess looks up at him. I don't know him that well, to be honest. We've only been on one case together, and Claire isn't there for much of it. From what I've seen, he really cares about Claire. I just think it's weird he didn't want to get a room next to each other. Like he's got something to hide, Sam says, looking out at the window and back at her. It's just odd. Jess sits up and gives him a look. I don't think it's a conspiracy against you. Also, the motel only had these rooms, so I think you're fine. Sam crosses his arms. It's just weird. I know my brother, and this is not how he acts. He didn't even flirt with the woman showing us the way here. Maybe he's more focused on the case and his kid rather than flirting, Jess offers. Being a parent can change you. When my sister had a kid, she stopped hunting altogether. Exactly, Sam said, gesturing his hands, which is what Dean should have done. Not drag her along. You remember how terrible it was, never being in one place, switching schools. And Claire's supposed to be in elementary school. Maybe she's doing it online, Sam, Jess says annoyedly. I don't think we can judge his decisions when we haven't been here for the last 4 years to see it. I'll ask him more on the case later, Sam says. I need to make sure he isn't messing up her life. At that moment, all the light bulbs in the room shattered. She frowned, shook her head even though Sam couldn't see her. How odd. Jess puts her head in her hands and groans. Like, you don't even listen to a word I say. I don't like lemonade. Apparently. I'm getting something in my throat. Oh. Mind if we join you? Dean asked as they walked up to Andrea at the park. He and Claire had gone to the park in hopes of meeting Lucas, and he figured if he couldn't get the kid to talk, Claire might. Sure, Andrea said. I'm just at the park with my son. Great. Claire heard there was a park and wanted to see it. He said, pointing at her. She likes jungle gyms. Mind if we say hi? Sure, Andrea smiled. I bet. Dean gave Sam a nod, and Sam sat next to her. They went up to Lucas, who was quietly drawing. Claire said, Can I join? Lucas said nothing, but nodded. Claire grabbed some pens and handed Dean one. You have to draw too, Dad. Dean rolled his eyes, but sat next to her. What should I draw, then? Claire Bear. Draw the family. Claire held out a black crayon. I'll draw baby, so you have everyone. Dean laughed. Okay, kiddo. Claire looked at Lucas, said, I know you don't want to talk. My mom died. I didn't either. But now I have my dad, and that's what matters. Dean nodded. It's okay if you saw something, Lucas. Others might not believe you, but I will. I promise. I have a younger brother in real life named Lucas. So this episode always freaks me out a little bit. That's off topic and unrelated to the fanfiction. But Dad always keeps his promises, Claire said, coloring baby on the sheet. Like one time he promised ice cream if I got a good job in my spelling bee test. I only got a B, but he still got me one because he said I still did good. You don't have to talk to me, Lucas, but you could try and draw a picture of what you saw that day. Dean hands his picture to Claire. That's you, me, and Sam and Jess. Claire frowns. You didn't add Cass or Uncle Gabe. Dean laughs. You're right, kiddo, but I think this will be enough for now. He leaves the paper for Lucas. It was nice talking to you, Lucas. I hope you can help us. Claire nods and holds the picture of baby. Here, you can have this. This is baby. She's the best car ever. Better than that dumb minivan my mom had. Claire laughs and pats her on the head. That's how I know you're my kid. You have good taste in cars. Claire rolls her eyes. Only a dummy doesn't like baby. Dean nods in agreement. Alright, let's get going. He stands up and runs to Claire. How about we get a snack, huh? You're only asking because you want food, Claire says, laughing. Dean scoffs. So, you want the snack or not? Of course, she says, but I want to choose the place. It's my turn. Dean lets out a long groan. Great. Listen, Andrea had said, gripping the door unsurely. I don't think Lucas will tell you anything, so I confess I don't understand why you're here. Do you really believe that? Dean asks her. Because if you do, we can leave. She hesitates for a moment, then sighs. Fine, but I don't know what you're expecting here. I just need a few minutes alone. As all Dean says, I think he knows more than he said. They pull up to the Sweeney house, and Dean takes a deep, fortifying breath. Something about the whole case seems off, like he's missing a vital clue. He shakes that feeling off, and they get out. He feels unsure of leaving Claire with Jess, but she had seemed to like her, so he forced himself to relax a bit. What's got your underwear in a twist? Sam asks him, giving a look. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else. I would, Dean muttered. I'm just worried about Claire. I mean, I doubt anything will happen with Jess there, but I still can't help but imagine the worst case scenarios. Dean chuckles at himself and shakes his head. Makes me wonder how Dad was able to leave us alone for days at a time, sometimes even weeks. Sam gives him a surprised look. You know, that's one of the first times I've ever heard you question Dad's choices. Dean rolls his eyes as he knocks. Yeah, well, Dad was never going to win Parent of the Year award. Before Sam can reply to that, the door opens. Dean gives the woman a soft smile. Hi, I'm so sorry to bother you, but my Dean had met a boy with a red bike earlier, and I think they switched mittens. They're very similar. I was pointing this direction to return him. Return them? The woman shook her head. Oh, no one has lived like that has lived here in 30 years. Dean's eyebrows rose. Oh, I apologize. She shook her head. It's fine. Do come in, though. They sat down in the living room. They chatted for a while, and Sam asks her about the boy who lived there. She sighed sadly. They never found who did it. I'm sorry for your loss, Dean said. That can't have been easy. No, she said, shaking her head. It isn't. She looked sadly at the figurines littering the bookcase. Do either of you have children? I do, Dean said. I have a daughter. Her name is Claire. She's about 7 now. She nodded. So you know that there is nothing that can replace that empty feeling if you ever lost her. That's how I felt about my son. He was supposed to come home and he never did. Sam nodded and Dean said, I'm sure. I don't know what I would do if anything ever happened to Claire. She gave him a sad smile. I hope you never find out. Losing him, it's almost worse. Sam held out a photo. It caught Dean's eye as Sam asked her, just out of curiosity, but were Paul and Bill Carlton ever friends? Jess smiled at Claire. What do you say to a girl's day out, since your dad and Sam are working the case? Claire nods excitedly. Yes, Dad doesn't like going to nail salons because I always bully him to get his nails done. Jess cracked up, imagining Dean trying to tell a 7-year-old that no, he is not getting his nails done. How does that go? She grinned. I haven't lost yet. Jess grins. Well, let's find a salon then. Huh? I haven't had a good mani-pedi in a while, and after all this, I think we both deserve one. They found a decent one within walking distance. So, soon enough, they were sitting in the massage chairs to have their pedicure done. So you've been with your dad for 4 years now? Yep, Claire said. Originally, he was going to drop me at my grandma's house, but I told him he can't. She didn't like me. Oh? Jess asked as the pedicurist asked her to test the water. She had to hold off on the questioning since this was not the best place for it. After they were done, they were drying their toes and nails at the station. The woman next to them said, Your daughter's very cute. Jess laughed. Thanks, but she's my boyfriend's brother's kid. I'm just here for babysitting today since they had something to do. The woman chuckled. I see that. She looked at Claire's black glittery nails. That's an interesting color choice. Claire nods excitedly. It's the color of my dad's car. When we go, it's the color I make him get. He's not here this time, so I did it. The woman raised her eyebrows. Your father goes with you to nail salons? That's interesting. Jess gives her a strained smile. Her mother died a few years back, so there's not really anyone else since me and my boyfriend live in California. The woman nods. I see. The conversation over and their nails dried. Jess pays for the service and they head out to lunch. Where do you want to eat, kiddo? I don't know, Claire shrugs. Dad usually picks. How about the cafe, she asks. Let's see if your dad and Sam are done with their little fact-finding mission. She called Sam and asked him, Hey, are you guys done? Claire and I are at this diner place now and wanted to see if you can join. She has muttered conversations and she assumes they are walking to Dean's car. Yeah, we can. Tell me the place's name. We'll be there in a bit. After she relays the information, she gestures to Claire. Come on, let's sit down and wait for them. They go and sit down. So show me your new nails. She admires Claire's sparkly black nails and shows her own coral ones. Good choice. Did you have fun? Claire nods. Yep, thanks, Aunt Jess. Jess would deny it, but it made her smile when Claire referred to it as her aunt. Speaking of, why do you keep calling me Aunt Jess? Do you not want me to? Claire asked. I can stop if you don't. Oh no, Jess assured her. I don't mind. It's just that you don't call Sam Uncle Sam, so I was curious. Sam hurt my dad, Claire said, scowling. It's amazing how much she looks like him when she does that. So until he apologizes, I'm not calling him that. Before Jess can respond, Dean slides into the seat across from her, Sam quickly behind. Hey Claire, how was your time with Jess? She could see the underlying anxiety he had at being away. She supposed if you had a kid around all the time, you'd be tense when you left her in the care of a virtual stranger, trustworthy or not. We got our nails done. She held her nails. I got the color of baby since you weren't there. Sam raised his eyebrows at that, and Dean chuckled. They look great. Claire beamed. Jess smiled. Claire was great. She was charming all the ladies in the nail salon. I bet. Dean chuckled at that. Well, unfortunately, the sheriff believes we have worn out our welcome, so we'll have to hightail it out of here after they eat. She raised her eyebrows and frowned. That's unlike them. I see, was all she said. Well then, she clapped her hands together. Let's eat. Time skip? Are you really going to shoot me in front of my daughter? Dean asked the sheriff. Seriously? Stop talking, he said, glaring at Dean. It was fine until you started poking around. It's all your fault. Just let out a surprised laugh at Dean as Sam says, You're kidding, right? Dean shakes his head. You know stuff like this never stays buried. It was going to keep happening until it gets your family. Then it's going to get you. Sheriff holds his gun at Dean and says, You don't know that. I could kill you and then this all goes away. You'd rather kill me and traumatize your kid for life just to keep a secret? What about your daughter? Dean asked. You think she's going to be fine with this? Dad, please, Andrea said. You don't have to do this. Just tell them the truth. It's going to take everyone you love, Andrea. Lucas, because that's what it did to Bill Clinton, Sam says. Yeah, the sheriff says. How do you think that? Sheriff glared at him. I was a kid. It was an accident. We never meant to do it. Because, Sam says, but he's interrupted by Andrea calling for Lucas as he goes to the water. They rush to the dock just to see Lucas get pulled under. Dean doesn't think and jumps into the water. Tries to pull Lucas out, but the force holding him is strong. By some miracle, he's able to pull Lucas out and get both of them to the pier. He lays on the dock for a moment, coughing when Claire rushes up to him. He sits up and holds her in a hug-like hold as she shivers. Don't do that again, Dad. I'll try not to, Dean said. I'm sorry I scared you. You didn't scare me, Claire scoffed. I just don't want to live with Uncle Gabriel instead. Yeah, nobody wants that, Dean says, laughing. Come on, kiddo, let's go back to baby. As Andrea leans in to give him a thank you kiss, Dean rubs the back of his neck as he steps back. Sorry, an amused look crossed her face. You have someone, don't you? Yeah, Dean said, looking away and back at her. It's complicated. Isn't it always? Andrea said wryly, and here I just thought you were a gentleman. That startled a laugh out of Dean. Now, if I was alone, I would have definitely hit on you, but Claire kind of changed my operating procedure. Can't exactly hit the bar or flirt with people when I have a kid at home. I know, Andrea said. Trust me, after all this, I think Lucas and I need a vacation. You definitely earned one, Dean said. I hope everything works out for you. You guys deserve it after everything. Thanks, she smiled. Thanks. As she and Lucas left, she turned to say, good luck with your complication. I have faith it'll work out fine. Faith, Dean laughs as she walks away, and I say, that's one word for it. As he got back into the car, Dean gets into the driver's seat and said, one for the road, huh? Excuse me, Dean asked him as he started up the Impala. The rumbling of her engine was always soothing balm to his troubles. He drove them out of the station onto the highway. Sam laughed and said, you know, what with Andrea planting one on you back there. Claire sat up immediately and peered up at him through the rear view window mirror. Dean gave Sam a sharp look. He wasn't thrilled at Sam sitting next to him, but Claire liked Jess, so she wanted to sit in the back with her. I didn't let her kiss me, Dean says at the same time. Claire saying, what about Cass? Those 4 words, she silenced everyone in the car. Sam and Jess looked confused, and Dean felt his heart almost stop as he realized the implication of her words. Finally, Sam turns to him and says, who the hell is Cass? I forgot that this one, like this series specifically, is really good at like getting me stuck on cliffhangers. It gets me. It's enthralling. They keep getting longer too. I don't know if I okay. My throat hurts. I feel like I have cat hair like collecting the back of my throat. It's also sore. I feel like I've been getting more and more gravelly. I also want to see if I can find non-lemonade water. So we're going to cap it here. We read 2 parts of Saving People, Hunting Things, the Family Business by the Batman Diaries. I'll post a link on various social medias after this. We had many baby interruptions. But yeah, that's that. I'm going to end stream now. I need to find a good way to do that. I need to make like an end stream page or something. But I hope you guys do well and have a good night. It's just me in here, I'm pretty sure. But still, I don't know if someone watches this later or something. Bye-bye.